Hi, it's Wendy Hernandez with Command the Courtroom. In this week's video, I'm answering another question from one of my viewers. And this particular viewer is going through a family court case without an attorney. And the reason he doesn't have an attorney is because he just can't afford one. And I know that's the case with many of the people who watch Command the Courtroom's weekly videos. They are on their own, they're trying to figure it out and make the best case possible for themselves. And that's why I put out these weekly videos. So this particular viewer asked me, if he's going through this case on his own, yet he does still have a little bit of money to spend, is there some way that he could spend his resources to help him in his case? And I will start out by saying this is not a one-size-fits-all answer. The answer could depend on the case and the facts and the person and the people involved. But if it were me going through a case and I didn't have the resources to hire an attorney, but I had a few $100s to spend on something, what I would do is I would use that money towards gathering the evidence that I intend to present during the hearing in the event that the case goes to hearing, or gathering the evidence to help support my position when I'm negotiating with the other side. So as I've stated in some of the other videos, and as I state during the trainings that I give, is that evidence is everything in these family law cases. When you get to trial, you have to show the judge your evidence. If you are trying to persuade the other side to do what you want or to accept an offer that you've extended, you have to present them with the reasons why your offer should be accepted, why it is supported, and the only way you can do this is with evidence. So there are tons of different types of evidence that you can get to support your case. And some of them are free. Some of them are text messages, email messages, video recordings, voice recordings, and those are just a few of the types that I commonly see in my practice every day. There are other types of evidence, however, that are not necessarily difficult to get, but they do cost money. And these types of evidence require subpoenas, for example. In a lot of my family law cases, child support is an issue. And oftentimes what I want to do is find out what the other side has going on in terms of bank accounts, especially if the other side is the one who has a support obligation and they're claiming that they can't afford to pay child support, or that they can only pay a limited amount, or that they only make a certain amount of money. So what I often do in those cases is subpoena bank records. And it costs money to issue the subpoena from the clerk of the court, and for specific instructions on how to subpoena get subpoenas issued in your jurisdiction, I really highly recommend that you go to your state rules of procedure. But not only does it cost money here where I practice to get this subpoena issued, but then you also have to issue a letter and a notice of deposition to the person that you're subpoenaing, and often pay for copy costs of the records that you're subpoenaing. So in the case of bank records, often those records are hundreds, if not thousands of pages. And at the end of it all, when I get the records, I'm also often presented with a bill for $100, $200, $300, $400, $500. But in many cases, it's very worth it to get those bank records. Another example of how you might spend your money is getting records from medical offices with respect to the other party's mental or physical health. And again, this process is not necessarily difficult. You have to get the other party to sign a medical release, a HIPAA release, and you send it to the doctor or the medical provider. But again, oftentimes those medical providers want you to pay for the costs of copying. And depending on how big the medical file is, the cost of copying may not be that much, or it could be a couple $100. So that's another way to spend money, if you have some but not enough to get an attorney. Another way is by getting past court records that might be relevant to your case, meaning past minute entries or minutes from your court, which again are easy to get but do cost money. Sometimes I've gone to the courthouse in the past, and I think just to get a page printed, it used to be like 50 cents a page. It may have gone up by this point. So it does cost money, but it's not a lot of money if you're just willing to put in the time. In other situations, you might want to get past court recordings if your jurisdiction audio records court proceedings. So if you want, you may get a disc if you want to try to impeach somebody on cross-examination. Get a disc of a prior court recording where somebody testified as to X, Y, and Z, and you think that they may be changing their story. If you really want to make cross-examination go a little more smoothly, then you could even get that court recording transcribed by a court-approved court reporter. And what that means is somebody who is certified by the court listens to that CD, types out whatever the contents of the CD are, and then they swear that their typewritten copy is a true reflection of what's contained in the CD. So if you really want to get fancy, you could pay money to get past audio recordings of court proceedings transcribed. Another way you could spend money to get evidence is to order police reports. If there have been past issues involving the police, you could order the police reports, and again, it involves a little legwork. Sometimes you can order online, sometimes you have to go to the police department and order them there, and usually it does cost a fee, $10, $20, $30. So those are just a few of my ideas. That getting the evidence that you need to support your case, though, is the thing that's going to help you the most. And if you don't have an attorney doing it because you can't afford to, it doesn't mean you can't get that evidence on your own. And you will have to spend a little money to get it, but in the long run, it may be well worth it. So I hope this helps answer your question. Keep your questions coming. I look forward to helping more. Keep on trucking, and remember, if you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, go ahead and do that now. You'll get updates as I post new videos every week. Like the Command the Courtroom page on Facebook. I post the weekly videos there as well. If you haven't signed up for my best interest checklist, go to commandthecourtroom.com and sign up for it now. And until next week, remember to command the courtroom.